You prompted something that I remembered. Recently, Brene Brown has come out with her new book, and I understand, I haven't read it yet, but I understand that she's got 20 some odd life skills that future
Mm,
proof you. And I bet you every single one of those life skills is part of your mission.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I used to have that poster. I'd forgotten about this. This is actually helpful because I think I want to go back and find it. But I used to have the poster in my room when I was growing up that said, all I ever really needed to learn, I learned in kindergarten. All I ever really needed to know, I learned in kindergarten. It was a book.
Yes.
Robert, maybe
Yes.
Robert Fulghum or something like that. I could be wildly wrong
Yeah,
on
I think
this.
it sounds right.
Somebody will check that and I'll go look for it because it's all of those pieces. And who are you becoming as a human? And the reality is the poster was right because while you do them in kindergarten, by that time you're 5 or 6 and who you become is actually already fairly baked. And so he was right about it. But I would just change the poster now. When I was growing up, I'm 51, so it was 40 years ago. We actually didn't know then what we know about brain development now. So he had the best version of what we knew at the time. And now we know that stuff happens earlier. And we didn't know
Absolutely.
it then. So there's an opportunity. Maybe we'll see if he's still alive and see if he'll amend the book to say, I learned in early childhood. Yeah, yeah, because that's the reality. And by and large, parents are left to fend for themselves. We're here to kind of discuss systems. And this is an area I appreciate that you shared earlier that you were up for discussing the word that I invented. And I've had a lot of feedback that I should not use this word. But the word that
But I
we're
love
working on,
this word.
well, thank you. But when your
Just slow
people,
down
but
when I say it, though, because I'm going to
yes,
mess it up.
I know that's a problem.
Asystemular.
Asystemular. It's not sticky, candidly, but is still good. When I began this work, part of the charge was you have to facilitate the early childhood community, helping to develop systems for people. Because in K-12, we have districts, funding structure built, we have measurement systems, we have systems all over the place. Once they exist, they're sometimes easier to amend. But in zero up to the first day of kindergarten, we don't have good systems. We're asystemular, which means that, from my perspective, it's not that it's broken. We just never made the system in the first place. So, unfortunately, today, if you're a family and you're like, I need to find childcare, you just Google childcare in San Antonio or near me. Like, that's not good. And there's a better version of that. And that's part of what our early childhood community raised up early on is families need to know how to find what they want. And we don't have to declare what they want, but help them see it. So by June, our early childhood community will have stood up a search tool that will include early learning center based care, licensed homes, not a your neighbor down the street, but somebody who said, this is my business. I run childcare out of my house. It will include early Head Start, public pre-K. It will now include the public school vouchers that are now available as of the recent legislative session. It will include workforce subsidies and military subsidies all in one tool that also will have an eligibility screener because there's funding available. So you can go in and it'll ask you whatever 13 questions and you answer them and then say, so you're eligible for, and what do you care about? Generally, what we find is that families choose childcare, understandably, for cost and location. And so then want a quality rated center. And then they can say, yeah, I'll choose that. But we have then an opportunity to potentially do a public campaign out there in San Antonio to say, click for quality. That's probably not the right slogan, but somebody else will write a better one. Choose for cost and location. Don't need you to change that, but just click the other one too and see what happens. And as that happens, more kids will end up in quality rated centers and the importance of quality will climb. More kids will be kinder ready. But right now, choose quality. People will be like, well, how would I know? And how do I begin? And so this is the opportunity that our early childhood community said, hey, we think we need this, that families need this. so that they can then choose what matters. I want to be dual language, or I want it Montessori or Emilio Reggio inspired, or I want it to be play-based or outdoor learning. Then you can say, I can choose what's right for my kiddo. Right now, you just kind of can't. And as we take this on, if we had jumped out and said, early matters, our team, we have like 5 or 6 of us, we're not very big. We're going to make it. We're just going to do it. The system doesn't travel. It doesn't build. The system only exists if people believe it exists, right? So you can build it, but if no one uses it, no one shows up, then it's not there, right? And this has to be driven by our early childhood community. Here's the thing we want. Families saying we need this. Great. We can help facilitate the development of a system. And we're excited about what will come from that. You can imagine the data that would come to be able to say, what do families want? What do they care about? Where are they looking for it? And where should open a new center? Are they clicking the button for quality where we actually don't have enough quality? Or everybody's choosing outdoor learning and we don't have enough outdoor learning programs? Then you can take action on that. But right now, we're Asystemular, and we get to work on it. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the plug for. Maybe we can spell it out in the chat.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, new term. Yeah, we'll see if it ends up showing up in the dictionary.
Yeah, but if it does, we'll reference this podcast.
We'll go ahead and we'll have it documented, historically noted.
Yeah,
you brought up so many things that I'm curious about because I'm really excited about this tool. If you wanted to buy a house, if you wanted to rent an apartment, if you wanted to go to a restaurant, you have tools to be able to go ahead and make a decision. And I remember speaking about the digital divide and the fall of the Berlin Wall at Rotary in 2011. And it's like, oh my gosh, we do not really have as much of a digital divide as we thought we were going to have across socioeconomic lines. And the fact that everybody's suffering from this. It doesn't matter where you live, what your family income is, what your family structure is, whatever.
Right.
Everybody is in this disadvantage point. And it's not just here, it's everywhere in the United States.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about abroad. They have different types of systems that they use. But we're all in this deficit of not having the right information to make a good decision. Saw just the other day, I saw a quote from James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. Something on the lines of, it's great to have goals, but if you don't have systems, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I just read that like 2 weeks ago. It was such an interesting, that I appreciate you reminding me of it, is you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Exactly. They're kludged up. You are screwed.
Yeah.
I commonly tell people go ahead and try to automate. It's like, if your system sucks annually, it's going to just suck harder.
Yeah.
And then you AI involved.
It's even worse.
I don't like kludge systems. So
yeah, it was a great phrase. And I think this gets to the behavior change piece of the system development, which is the way that we describe this sometimes is it's Zillow meets hotels.com, but for childcare, right? Yeah. And maybe I need some sort of other system that helps determine eligibility. I don't know what that would be. But part of the challenge for this is we're doing this with 95% of the childcare providers are small businesses, mom and pops. It's moms by and large, right? Yeah. Some pops, but mostly moms and sometimes moms and grandmas. And, historically, they don't have an obligation, certainly, to share their vacancy data. Do you have open seats? And for them to do that is a new behavior that, one, they have to go, am I willing? Why would I? Right? So we have to help make the case of, if you have open seats, that's revenue that's not coming in. Can we help you with this system and with thousands or tens of thousands of families coming into the search tool? Can we help them match to you so that you can get more money? So, but we have to help make that case, right? And then we have to make it easy enough that they'll play and do training but it has to get down to the level of some version of, hey, Kathy, who runs a center, 2 weeks ago when we asked, you had this many open slots for infants, this many for toddlers, this many for threes, this many for fours. Where are you today? Hit the plus button or the minus button and submit, but you need to be done in 13 seconds, right? And go plus, plus, minus, minus, sit, done. And then we've got it. And then we need to tell you, hey, if you want to stay in the search results for families, you have to update, right? Because if families go on there and they've got bad data, they're not going to come back, right? If you go to hotels.com and the host hotels haven't updated their vacancies for 2 months, you'll never go back. But how do you facilitate a community bridging through adaptive change in order to make a system function? Because convincing parents to go, I don't think is going to be hard. They're going to be like, great, about damn time. So how do we make sure that we are, as an early childhood community, we're ready to meet that and help them link into our centers? But because we can be like high-minded about whiteboarding the perfect system, but if no one plays, it's not. And so, yeah, there's a different kind of journey that we're going to need to go through.
You know, one of the things that I get to provide for my clients is the ability to have their brick and mortar or even service-based business searchable and the right information about their business online so that when people want to go to an interior designer, the right hours are on there and the right location and the right phone number, which I've been seeing a lot lately, is not happening. People are not updating their phone numbers, and they're not even using the system to go ahead and have that updated. So there's an old number out there in the interweb, and so that data is not there. And it's just like when you have a website or any type of presence that is just not going ahead and meeting that need, or falls down and creates a cognitive dissonance. I'm confused. Well, a confused mind doesn't consume, buy, or stay. And so they move on to your competitor, right?
Yep.
And so what I'm thinking, just off the top of my head, that an incentive for the centers and the homes and so forth would be, and also something that would be beneficial on the parent side, would be transparency. Date last updated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's quite simple. Here's how we play.
Yeah.
This is where you get tough love, right? If you want to go ahead and be in this tool, we would love to have you in this tool, but they have to go ahead and participate. That's the price.
Yep.
And
That's
that
right.
participation and being able to know, hey, oh, wait, that hasn't been updated in 6 months. I may want to call them, but I may want to go someplace else.
Right.
Because if they're doing that, how are they going to handle my kid?
Well, there's this question of if you are a parent and you sign up and say, look, I've got a 1 and a 3-year-old and I want to go to one place. You can handle my 1 and a 3-year-old next week. And you don't want to chase that. You want to get a clear answer. So yeah, it's an opportunity to design this and create it with our early childhood community, with parents speaking into it and figuring out iteratively what is working. And hopefully parents will be like, look, this was fine, but I wish you had X. Like, great. How do we collect that?